We have been tasked by the listeners for an expansion draft. What 5 players would each of Matt and I start our franchise with if we are looking ahead to building our own, let's say, London franchises? And what about Protector of the Year, the new award? Who's up for it this year on today's Peacock and Williamson?
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look at the NFL on the field and in the front office with elite breakdowns to next-level analysis and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to Peacock and Williamson. Brian Peacock and Matt Williamson with you at BD Peacock, at Williamson NFL. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network. Every day, it's what we do. Love our everydayers, your team every day. And please subscribe on YouTube and anywhere you listen to this podcast. Welcome to the new listeners as well. And if you are new or old to the program, drop a question. We got a little overflow from the mailbag this week. There were some extra topics yesterday, and there was one we wanted to get to. Might take a little while, and maybe a little draft back and forth on how this might look like if Matt and I were operating our brand new franchises, and we could pick 5 players to start from anybody in the NFL to start our franchises with. And this question comes from Mark, who says, your GMs of 2 London expansion. Do you want to stay in London, or do you want to do the
I'll take Dublin since the Steelers are going there. You know, right? All right.
Okay, so I'll be in London. Matt's going to be a Dublin franchise. And a lot of great fans in all these places that the 49ers or that the NFL is playing a lot of games. I wish the 49ers would get over there and I could go see one of these international games.
I wish the Steelers were playing the Niners and we'd meet up in Dublin.
Now that would be something. Get me over there. Scotland, London, Germany, wherever it is, man. That's got to happen. That would be phenomenal. So Mark says,
VP, I can't help myself. My co-host Dale Lawley's been covering the Steelers now for over 30 years, and it was his first year ever covering the Steelers. New reporter on the beat, and I forget where they played overseas. It was a preseason game, but it was Steelers Niners, and it was Jerry Rice, Ronnie Lott. You know, it was like when Rod Woodson, he said there was 6 Hall of Famers that he was there for the week with. And he's just, Steve Young, just an amazing experience. Like, how cool would that be as a new beat reporter guy,
Oh, that's phenomenal stuff.
Right.
That's the stuff that you tell your grandkids about. Absolutely. So Mark gives us the task of our expansion teams. We get to pick any 5 players. You get You get 10-year contracts. So they could be good for 10 years. They could be good for 2 years. Depends on how we want to slice it, who you would select. But we can have this player under contract for the next 10 years if we want. We get to pick any 5 players currently in the NFL, only 1 quarterback each. And he actually says we could draft it head-to-head if we want. So let's talk through this a little bit. And
let's talk through it, yeah.
The process and maybe do a back and forth and draft 5 players each from the NFL that we would build around to start a franchise.
So I'm just going to show my hand. And if you use it against me, if we do a draft, so be it. I don't care. But I have a feeling we're going to look at this sort of similarly.
Yeah, I have a feeling I know what you're going to say.
Okay. So I am definitely leaving this draft with one of these 4, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Lamar. Now, Mahomes would be my first pick. I think Burrow would be my 4th. And I only need to pick 2, so Burrow's not going to be on my team. Now, I'm sitting here in my head going, if I had the first pick overall in a head-to-head draft against you, is Mahomes noticeably better than Allen or Lamar? Or would I, quote, just settle for the second awesome quarterback and use my resources elsewhere? Either way, you're going to get an elite quarterback. And I'm not speaking for you, but I kind of am. I'm sure you're going to leave this draft with a quarterback, right?
Yeah, I think that
right.
To grab one of these star quarterbacks if you had the opportunity to take any of them. And you kind of laid it out there, which is look, you get there's only 2 of us. If there's 5 of us drafting this, or 32 of us drafting this,
the first 4 picks might be quarterbacks, right?
But you're going to get a good quarterback because the other guy can only take 1 if we do this. So I might wait, in that case, because it may
my last pick will be a quarterback
advantage somewhere else, right? Because there's some positions where maybe there's even fewer players that you would prefer to draft at a position versus quarterback, and you're going to get a good quarterback. Does age
like along those lines, BP, like let's say you're sold that Brock Bowers is a transcendent special second-year tight end, and the gap is this big, and I'm putting my hands really far apart between him and tight end 2. Maybe you would just say, I'll let BP take Mahomes because I have to get Bowers with the first overall pick, or any position of that nature. So I'm definitely taking youth or age into consideration, but because I need to build a culture, I assume I'm going to have draft picks like any other NFL team. Like going forward, the 2026-27 draft, I'm going to have draft picks just like the Cardinals and Commanders and everybody else. I don't think I'm going to go super young. Like I'm not going to take Cam Ward or Ted McMillan or, I want somebody that I know is a good player. I want 5 exceptional players, not 3 really good prospects and a couple good players.
Right. And in reality, I just want to say, if there was an expansion draft, all the good players would be blocked and you would have to pick from, I think I remember, was Tony Baselli, the Houston Texans,
yes,
first pick in the expansion draft, but he was like, had a career-ending injury essentially, and wasn't.
He never would have been available if it wasn't for injuries, and I think they wanted to get him off the books, so they made him available, and so they took him, and he wasn't great at the next stop. You know what I mean?
Right.
He didn't last much longer.
Right. So you're plucking big name players that have contracts that the team wouldn't currently want, or you're trying to, just find some sleeper players and start to build a franchise. You wouldn't have an opportunity, obviously, to get Patrick Mahomes or any of the other top players in the NFL in an expansion draft, but that's what we get to do here in this exercise. And this is more about just deciding who the more valuable players are in the NFL that we would build around long term. And
so before we start getting into specific names, again, I'm going to show my hand, and I'm sure you agree with some of this. I only get 5 players. You only get 5 players. I'm not taking a running back. I mean, if it's Jim Brown, I'm not taking a running back. I'm just not. I doubt I'm taking an interior offensive lineman, but I am definitely going to leave this draft with an offensive lineman. I'm not going with none. No chance. Chances of me taking a tight end are very, very slim. I mean, wide receiver, I'm probably 50-50 on in terms of I only get 5. Sure, Jefferson, Chase, A.J. Brown, etc. would be wonderful, but am I definitely taking around? I think 5 guys, I'm definitely going to leave this with at least 1 defensive lineman of some sort. There's no chance I'm taking a safety. I love Warner, but I doubt he's going to be one of my 5, and he's the only off-the-ball linebacker I would consider. And like receiver, I give myself a chance of taking a corner, but if I don't and I end up with other stuff, so be it. Are you somewhat on board?
Similarly.
Okay.
There's no chance either one of us leaves this without a big-time defensive lineman, a big-time quarterback, or an offensive lineman, and then you kind of try to decide the rest of it, maybe an offensive weapon, maybe a couple of more players on the defensive side of the ball, depending on who's available and who you value more at the other positions.
Exactly. So that's the way I see it in terms of team building. I'm really stressing position value, position scarcity. I want players that are in their prime or entering their prime, have some proven track record. Not only am I trying to build a great fantasy team, but I want guys that have won and have some culture to them. And again, I don't think I want prospects.
So with that said, I'll let you go first, Matt. Who would be your first pick in this expansion draft?
Mahomes.
Yeah. You almost have to, right?
You almost have to. And boy, do I think Allen and Lamar are unbelievable. And frankly, I think they're underrated in the history of the league. I mean, I think they're already maybe top 10 all-time quarterbacks, and we might just look at the second half of their career like Peyton Manning and be like, oh yeah, Allen ended up with 3 rings when it was all said and done. Okay, I believe it. He's awesome. You know what I mean? But Mahomes is Mahomes. He's been there. He's done it. And I know that gives you a huge advantage in that you don't have to take one till the 5th pick. I'm not going to take 2.
Yeah, and I had a feeling this was going to go that way. Do you have any reservations about Patrick Mahomes in 10 years, you get a guy for 10 years versus maybe swinging for a younger quarterback. Mahomes will be 40 in 10 years. He's going into his age 30 season. He turns 30, I believe, in September.
That's one part about the question I didn't love, because 10 years is like a century in the NFL. I mean, none of these people we're talking about might be on the field in 10 years. Like, even if you took someone that's just got drafted, has yet to play a game. I mean, the rookie class might not be on the field in 10 years. So I'm looking at it much more through like a 5-year window.
That means that I know I'm going to get a great quarterback, and I'm going to go to the defensive side of the ball to start my expansion franchise with 25-year-old pass rusher, soon to be 26. He'll be 26 all year. In fact, he turns 26 here. I'm looking at it right now in a couple days. So happy birthday to new London Peacocks edge rusher Micah Parsons. That's when I'm going to start my draft.
That was my dilemma with the first overall pick.
Yeah.
Just because I think there's a substantial drop-off from the next edge rusher. You know what I mean?
There's other really good ones, but age-wise, Micah Parsons might still be going at age 35, where the other best edge rushers in the NFL getting a little closer to 30. And
certainly 5 years from now, I like Parsons' chances of being great more than TJ Watt's,
Yes. Yeah.
Should we go to break and think about?
I think that's the right way to do it. Let's go to break, and we'll continue our top five. We got one player each. I started defense. Matt went with the best quarterback in the NFL in Patrick Mahomes. How do our top fives end up looking here to build our expansion franchises next? This episode of Peacock and Williamson brought to you by Gametime and the Gametime app. And there's nothing like the NBA playoffs, the intensity, the buzzer beaters, the fans losing their minds. It's the kind of atmosphere you must experience live if you've never been to a playoff game. Really, no matter the sport, it is phenomenal. And this year's matchups are already delivering. If you want in, Gametime makes it fast and easy to get seats, even for the biggest playoff games. Prices on the app actually drop closer to tip-off, and with killer last-minute deals, panoramic seat views, and no surprise fees, Gametime is a total game changer. And I've said this before, and it's probably my most important takeaway when it comes to Gametime is I will never not have Gametime in my pocket. If you are a sports fan that you would ever think about maybe buying tickets, whether they're last minute tickets, early tickets, to sporting events, baseball, basketball, football, to concerts, comedy shows, if you're ever going to go to any of those events, you got to have Gametime in your pocket and check Gametime and really start with Gametime. And those last minute seats are awesome. Going to a Giants game, go to concerts, maybe events I wouldn't have gone to if I didn't realize I could get awesome deals with some of these last minute seats. And sometimes you don't even know if you're going to be able to go to an event until the last minute. And
I told you I went to Pearl Jam a couple days ago and got it like half price at right before. It was great.
How was it?
It was a blast. I don't know any of their new stuff, and by new stuff I mean like the last 20 years. But It didn't really.
They're still going, man.
They still go, and man, there's a lot of energy, and we had a really good time. And I knew half the songs, and that was fine.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, and look, even an hour after an event starts, the opening band can be on stage. You can still get tickets for that concert at Gametime and probably get some good deals. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Okay, Matt, you're up next. You got Patrick Mahomes. Who would be your second pick in this expansion draft? The only other player that you cannot choose is Micah Parsons, who is on my squad.
So again, I've been very transparent with my intentions, which may not end up yielding me the best team. I don't think you're going to go edge rusher back to back. Maybe you will. Who knows? So I might try to wait that out because I'm definitely going to leave this draft with a good edge rusher. I definitely believe that. But we talked about the top 25, under 25, and the guy at the top of the list is Penei Sewell. That's my guy. I mean, he's not even 25 years old, and he might be the best offensive lineman in the league. I might get 10 years out of him.
That's a really good one. And he didn't pick him. And specifically, if you went defensive line, I would have probably picked Penei Sewell. So that is a really good selection. And I don't know if it's going to break your heart or not, but I am going to go back to the defensive line, I think. And I'm going to go Nick Bosa, 27.
That would have been my other pick. No, I don't love that.
So I'm going to strengthen my defensive line, and it's going to be some battles up front with Parsons and Bosa against what you're building, which is formidable on the offensive side of the ball. So 2 defensive players for me, 2 offensive players for you. And what's funny is I would have made exactly both of your picks if it went the other way. So we really do see this similarly. And strategically, I at least make a strength of mine to go against the strength of yours on offense.
That hurt me. I thought I could, because Bosa was going to be my choice. Yeah, I mean, and I thought I could wait till round 4 or 5 to do it. But I wanted to hurt you a little bit with Sewell. I can't go another offensive position here. And I don't see an edge rusher that I have to have now in terms of age. And I'm pretty sure you're not going to go 3 edge rushers. So I'm taking Dexter Lawrence.
Okay.
That might surprise people, but he's really hard to play against. I think he's 26. There were other interior D linemen I considered. I won't mention names. I don't want to do the homework for you, but I do think an every down interior mess, and I'm going to pair him with a defensive end of some sort, will be a very formidable 2-man start to my D line.
I think I then am going to take the first offensive skill player off the board right now. And that's a tough decision for me. And I could go a number of ways. You mentioned how, you probably wouldn't take a running back, and I'm definitely not going to take a running back in this. Tight ends, there's a lot of good tight ends in the NFL. You could go there, but I think I'm going to go to the wide receiver position, and it's still a tough choice because there's so many good ones of those, and you're going to get a good one of those if you wait on it. But I think what I have to do currently is take Justin Jefferson, who I think is just the best all-around wide receiver in the NFL. Still very young. He'll be good for a long time. Still 25, going to turn 26 years old this summer. So he'll be playing this age 26 season. Should get a really nice chunk of a career from a guy who's a dynamic player for whoever my quarterback ends up being that's throwing to him. Justin Jefferson is my selection here.
So I will say, if this was a 6-round mock draft, not 5, I would take a much different approach with this pick I'm about to make.
Interesting.
You want to make it 6?
We could go 6. We could keep going. We only have a few minutes left in this segment, although we can just do the whole podcast and talk about some other subjects later. I mean, we can go 10 rounds. I don't care.
I think they're begging us to go 6. Let's go 6.
All right, let's do it.
All right. I'm taking Jordan Mailata.
Okay. Wow. Bookends. I like
it. You just can't get tackles. And if I have a pair of tackles and Mahomes, I kind of don't care what the rest of my offense looks like. That I think it's going to be a high-end offense, and I can find receivers in the next couple of drafts. I can find centers and guards in the next couple of drafts. I definitely can find a tight end and a running back,
By the way, Jordan Mailata this year, Penei Sewell last year, the past 2 highest graded offensive linemen according to PFF the last couple.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that. But they're both 26, 25, they're
young,
in their primes, left tackle, right tackle.
Yeah, you got the bookends left and right side too. You don't have to put anybody to the wrong side. Love that. And whoever's your running back is going to like that as well.
Going to love it. Mahomes is going to love it. I mean, Mahomes would have liked it in the Super Bowl.
You're making me want to just draft another defensive lineman here to come. Because my offensive line, I could definitely go. There's a lot of good ones.
Mm-hmm.
And since we're doing 6 picks, I can still wait on quarterback.
Yeah,
probably the only strategy I should use.
I won't take another
to give me a slight little advantage there. I don't want to be a homer, but I need to cover the middle of the field and defend the run. And I think I'm going to take Fred Warner, the best linebacker, linebacker in the NFL. 28 years old, not quite as young, but he's still got some good years left in him. And Fred Warner, I think, is going to be my pick here on the defensive side of the ball.
Totally get it. And I kind of regretted opening the podcast saying I'm not going to take an off-the-ball linebacker because he's a unicorn in today's NFL and just gives the defense a lot of versatility. And when we went to 6 rounds, it actually crossed my mind. Because maybe I would go off the ball here. I think I almost know who my last 2 picks are going to be, and I don't think it should matter.
It's going to be.
I'm going to take Myles Garrett. He's older, but he's awesome. And
still a monster. He's aged.
He's still a monster.
Age 30 season this year, I think.
The Browns don't seem to be too worried about him aging out anytime soon. I think he's going to be 30.
So young coming into the league too that he might be younger than I think. But for some reason, I thought he was maybe entering his age 30 season. He
was young, but I mean, he came in the same year as Watt, who's
29. Okay, he turned 29 in December, so he'll be 29 most of the season. So still not.
If I get 3 awesome years and 2 designated pass rush years, great.
Finishing up the Peacock versus Williamson expansion drafts, who will be my quarterback selection next? Well, I guess Jamar Chase then is my next pick.
Oh, I thought I'd get him for sure with the last one.
I thought you were going to go Jamar Chase.
I didn't know what order to take the 2. I'm like, he's not going to take 2 receivers.
What ended up happening is you got all the offensive linemen, and so an offensive lineman is not going to be one of my first picks. I'm going to wait on those guys.
I get it. And you can take Wirfs or whoever whenever you want. Right. I thought for sure you wouldn't take 2 receivers.
The young star defensive players and then the young star pass catchers for my final pick, which is going to be quarterback. And I guess I'm just going to
take it now. I'm not going to take one. If you just want to say which quarterback you prefer, that's fine.
And I wonder which one you would take because it's between 3 guys for me here at quarterback. Maybe 4. Burrow's got the injury history, and I just think
that's why I would not take him for the longevity.
In the same category, I would just definitely take Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson over.
So would I.
Joe Burrow, just more dynamic. Lamar's 1 year younger than Josh Allen, but will his style of play age as well as Josh Allen's? Josh Allen, 29 years old, 1 year younger than Patrick Mahomes. And my third consideration would be go even younger with the 24, turning 25-year-old Jaden Daniels potentially as my quarterback and try to elongate that. But still, that's only 4 or 5 years. I think I would just take Josh Allen and be done with it.
All the exact same thought process for me, except I didn't really consider Daniels just because 1 year ago, if I'd have taken Stroud, I wouldn't be super happy now. And you know what I mean? Like, he's still good, but I passed up Josh Allen. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, but it's like, it's the, what's the joke about, I think it's maybe a Family Guy joke or something, but it's like, you would you like a box or would you like a boat or a mystery box? And it's like, man, I've always wanted a boat. That's the thing I want the most. But the mystery box could be anything, even a boat. And that's
right. If Jaden Daniels turns into Lamar or Allen, you win. You might as well take Lamar or Allen.
Exactly. So, Jaden Daniels, 24. And in fact, CJ Stroud, I guess, could be someone I would consider if I was trying to go young and try to maximize the length of my football team. Isn't Stroud actually younger than Jaden Daniels?
I think so. And if this was like a 6-team draft, then it's a different story, right? Yes. But how do you say no to Josh Allen? I would have taken Allen too.
Right.
So all right, I got one more pick, I guess, right?
Yeah. So who is your selection here?
Help me, but I think I know who I'm going to take. I thought about AJ Brown. That's probably my next receiver. I actually thought about Hunter. I know he's a rookie, but I
a lot of projection
really like him.
You get something on both sides of the ball.
I get something on both sides, and I don't have a corner or a receiver. That's why I never thought I would even consider Hunter, but I thought I had Chase locked up, and you stole him. So Surtain is strongly in the consideration.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Jalen Carter, though.
Oh, I like it.
Just when you thought you had a better D-line than me, I think I have the better D-line now. I got the nose, the 3 technique, and Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I mean, you have 3 different defensive linemen to my 2. I've got the linebacker instead in Fred Warner. Let us know what you think. Where would you start your defense? Parsons, Bosa, and Warner, or Lawrence, Garrett, and Who did you take there?
Jalen Carter.
Oh, Jalen Carter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jalen
Much
Carter.
different style than Lawrence, obviously.
So there we go. Team Peacock, Josh Allen, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Michael Parsons, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Team Williamson, Mahomes, Penei Sewell, Jordan Mailata. I mean, that offense is going to, no matter the other 8 guys don't matter on offense almost. Like
it really doesn't. That's what I thought.
The ball.
It'd be nice to give him a Kelsey or somebody that some kind of safety blanket, but the 3 hardest thing to find on offense are set.
Right.
And I'm never going to help in protection. I'm going to have 5-man routes,
And the last 3 are Lawrence, Garrett, and Carter on Team Williamson. Let us know what you think.
That was fun.
About those squads. You did spend a lot of your draft picks on the offensive side of the ball, on the offensive line. What do you think about the new Protector of the Year? We mentioned that it was something that's going to be a new award. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's going to be the Offensive Tackle of the Year award? It's called Protector of the Year. Are we not talking about run defenders? Is there going to be an opportunity for a awesome center to win this award, a guard to win this award? How do you envision this award? Or is it going to be like MVP, which always goes to quarterbacks now, and you got to have a different Defensive Player of the Year award to give the defensive guy an award? Is it going to be a similar thing because the offensive tackles are more well-known, they are more well-paid, and there's not as many stats to help you pick a different player than the most well-known guys? And, a few years ago, it probably would have been Trent Williams. And I just mentioned how the PFF's highest grade offensive tackles are Mailata and Sewell the last 2 years. What do you think about this award, and who else would you consider for it if you were giving it out last year?
I don't love the name of it. I think I didn't look at it exactly, but I think it's only for offense. I don't think defense is allowed. I mean, it's an offensive lineman.
Yes, yeah, it's offensive line award, Protector of the Year. Yes.
Yeah. Now, to me, this just implies pass protection, but I don't think that's the nature of the award. I think it's just who was the best offensive lineman in the 2024 season is basically what it is. It's like the Nagurski Award for O lineman or whatever. Strongly would have considered my buddy Sewell, who's now on my team, but I would give it to Lane Johnson. I think I couldn't consider him for our draft. He's too old. But I think he's unbelievably good. And the real O-line nerds think about him as one of maybe the best right tackle ever. And I don't think people even put him in that light. They won the Super Bowl this year. I watched him against TJ Watt, and that was like his toughest game. And he still only got beat by like twice in that game by Watt, alone all the time. And no one's alone on Watt. He's a special, special player. And maybe because it's the first one, slight lifetime achievement award too. The inaugural award. And if it maybe was 2 years ago, maybe I'd have given it to Kelsey for that reason. So I do think a center or a guard could win it. But I bet 3 out of 4 times it'll be a tackle.
So there's, Quentin Nelson, there's been some offensive linemen that have gotten a little bit older that were interior offensive linemen. Like, who would be that interior offensive lineman that would compete for the award against some of the offensive tackles in the NFL?
I don't know who it is today.
Like, some of those guys aren't quite in their primes like they once were.
They're not Larry Allen or Hutchinson or Faneca or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know who that is. That's the far and away leader. Creed Humphrey might have a conversation. I think Quinn Miners might be the best guard in the league, but you can't give it to him. I mean, he's a little early, I think it was Sewell or Lane Johnson for me.
Yeah.
Wirfs is a strong one too.
Wirfs, yeah.
I'm kind of shocked you didn't draft Wirfs. I thought you were going to take Wirfs.
And he would have been my picks in there, but then I had an opportunity to kind of sneak in there and get Jamar Chase, and then I was thinking about maybe I think there's enough of a gap between Warner and maybe there was a
huge gap.
Let us know what 5 players would you start your franchise with at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Thanks to all the questions we got in the mailbag this week. We appreciate you. Get them in on Twitter or comments on YouTube. Subscribe while you're there. Matt and I back Monday right here. Peacock and Williamson.